Guys, what's going on? I hope you guys are well. I hope you guys are staying safe. Smash the like button, guys. Hit the subscribe button. Share the video as always. Guys, really smash that like button. It really helps the channel, as you guys know. Thanks for hitting the like button. To all of you that hit the like button, I really appreciate it. Smash that like button. Obviously, hit the subscribe. Share the video. It really helps grow the channel. So yeah, guys, I want to get straight into it. Eddie Hearn has said that Dmitry Bivol's next opponent could be Joshua Buatsi. I think it's a decent fight, to be honest with you. I think it's a bit too soon for Buatsi. I don't think Buatsi is ready for Bivol, but I think Eddie Hearn, I felt like Eddie Hearn wanted a fight with Dmitry Bivol, but Virgil Hunter didn't. And I think Eddie Hearn's putting on a front. In the interview, he said that Virgil Hunter texted him, or he texted Virgil Hunter, and Virgil Hunter texted him up saying that, you know, we're ready to take that fight. Personally, I don't think Virgil Hunter thinks that Joshua Buatsi is ready. You could tell what he was saying at the press conference that he doesn't think Buatsi is ready for a Dmitry Bivol. I actually think this is a pretty comfortable fight for Dmitry Bivol at this point. I don't think Joshua Buatsi is good enough on what I've seen so far. I don't give him much of a shot against Dmitry Bivol. I think Bivol is too good. He's too skilled. He's got a very good chin. Just too good a boxer for Joshua Buatsi. Joshua Buatsi at times loads up on shots, is a bit wild, and someone like Bivol would take him to school, you know. And even if like I hadn't seen Dmitry Bivol against Canelo, I would make Dmitry Bivol a big favorite against Buatsi. But after watching Bivol in the flesh, or Bivol, what we saw against Canelo, I think he's going to beat Buatsi quite handily. And I've never been like, I don't mean to sound like a hater, because people think, oh, you're hating on this guy. No, I've never been that impressed with Buatsi. And what I mean, he's a good fighter. He's done well. But I don't think, in terms of beating the top guys like your Beterbievs and your Bivols, I'm not sure his skill set is going to be good enough. Like, if you're having tough fights with Craig Richards, and this was a very tough fight, this is a fight that, you know, some people thought it could have been a draw. You know, I personally thought Buatsi did enough, but, you know, he kind of showed that he's off that level, maybe slightly better than Richards. And personally, I think they should probably be looking at a rematch. But I understand Buatsi's position. Buatsi's thinking that's a tough fight, and it's high risk, low reward, really, Richards' rematch. Whereas might as well jump into a big fight with Dmitry Bivol, because there's a lot to gain. Even if he was to lose, he can come back from that. I just don't think at this particular point, on what I've seen so far in his skill set, I just don't think he's ready for that. I think Bivol would outbox him, outclass him, and win a comfortable points decision. Potentially could even stop him, you know. I don't know about Bivol's power, because Bivol didn't really stop Richards, and he didn't, you know, he hasn't stopped anybody for a while. So I think Buatsi might be able to go the distance. There's a good chance, I think, if Bivol wins, he'll win on points. I just don't really see Buatsi winning that fight. I don't really know what Buatsi can do from what I've seen so far in his game that I think is going to cause Bivol a huge amount of trouble. I think the aim is for Eddie Hearn is to get Bivol the fight against Joshua Buatsi. And he's probably hoping Buatsi beats him, and then he can get a big fight between Buatsi and Canelo. But, you know, firstly, I don't see Buatsi having any chance against Bivol, to be brutally honest. On what we've seen so far in their careers, I think Bivol's going to outclass him. And I think the aim is then to fight Canelo. So, you know, I think if the aim for Canelo is to fight Bivol next year in May, I think that's what they're going to do. I think if Canelo can come through the Golovkin fight, I think they're going to make the third Canelo fight. So they'll make Bivol Buatsi first. And then obviously the winner of that fight will probably fight Canelo. But, you know, I think I don't really see Buatsi beating Bivol, you know, and that's why I think Buatsi should really go down the Yarde route. And I think that's the fight he should be taking. The fight they should be making. I think Eddie Hearn wants to make that fight. The problem is, I think Anthony Yarde don't want it, because Anthony Yarde would rather face the winner of Beterbiev Smith, who is mandated for. I think he's mandatory. Is he mandatory, or I think he's mandatory. So he's probably thinking that I might as well fight the winner of that rather than facing Joshua Buatsi, high risk, low reward. Whereas I'd rather fight in a 3-belt unification fight with the winner of Smith and Beterbiev. Unfortunately, I don't give either guy much of a chance, because for me, Beterbiev is going to be the winner of the Smith fight, and Bivol is obviously going to be the guy that Joshua Buatsi is going to have to face. And I don't really give, like Frank Warren was talking about, if those two win, they can fight each other. That would be obviously an undisputed fight, but again, you know, both of them would be huge underdogs going into those fights. The chances of even one of them winning is remote. The chances of both of them winning is even, it's mini, it's a small little one, you know, I would say 1 out of 100 chance. Because I don't think either of the guys are good enough. I don't think either of the guys are experienced enough or got the ability. It's not even about the experience. It's just the fact that I don't think either guy's got the ability to beat those two guys. I think they're very, very skilled amateurs. Both of them, Beterbiev and at Bivol, are very high skilled fighters with a lot of experience and very deep amateur backgrounds. I can't see them, either of those guys, beating those guys. You know, who would I give a better chance? I'd probably give Yarde. And not because I think Yarde's a better fighter than Buatsi, because of the fact that I think Beterbiev might be getting older. So, you know, if Yarde catches him, who knows? But Beterbiev hasn't really shown any... I know some people are saying he's shown signs of slowing down. I don't think he has. I think he's just been in second gear. And I think if he was to be pushed in a fight, I think he could take it to that next gear. I really do. And I think Beterbiev would stop Yarde. And it would be a lot more difficult. Plus, you know, Yarde's a good fighter, but he's very muscle bound. He's very muscular. He's very big. That would, for me, that would be a massive issue for him. Just like it is for Anthony Joshua when you fight someone like Beterbiev, because Beterbiev is going to drag you into a fight. Once he drags you into a fight, those muscles are going to become, you know, difficult for Yarde to breathe, and that's basically what happened to him in the Kovalev fight. He got tired, and that was a kind of a shot-worn Kovalev. And what I mean by that is Kovalev for me was gun shy at that point. I don't think Kovalev was the same Kovalev. I think the crusher Kovalev, I think would have stopped Yarde maybe in 6 rounds. But I think that Kovalev that Yarde fought, he wasn't the same Kovalev. But, you know, he gave Kovalev a good fight, almost stopped Kovalev. And that, for me, that was Yarde's opportunity. If Yarde was special, that would have been the fight where Yarde would have become world champion. A top fighter at that point would have taken that opportunity, because for me, Kovalev was at the end of his career. He was at the end of the road, and I think Kovalev was there for the taking. Yarde just didn't have the experience or the ability to take advantage. And look, in the end, Canelo fought him and knocked him out, didn't he? Even though Kovalev did well against Canelo. But Canelo knocked him out, because that's what great fighters would have done. And Canelo was really massively handicapped in that fight in terms of how big Kovalev was. He just flattened him, you know, because Canelo slowed down Kovalev and eventually took him out. You know, and Yarde had that opportunity in the 8th round. And after that, he kind of ran out of gas. And Kovalev basically took him out. But again, like I said, an experienced fighter with ability at that point would have beaten Kovalev. And that was basically Yarde's opportunity of becoming a world champion. Imagine if Yarde had gone to Russia and beaten Kovalev. Like, Yarde would have been a superstar. He would have been a household name, like massive in the UK. Because he was already built very well by BT and Frank Warren. They had already done a great job with him from a promotional standpoint. And he was quite a sellable guy, Anthony Yarde. But unfortunately, you know, he just wasn't able to cut it in that fight. But like I said, he was probably seconds away from potentially ripping that world title from Kovalev. Very close. Personally, I think if he had a bit more experience, if he was in a few more tougher fights, Frank Warren had matched him a little bit more harshly, I think he probably would have won that world title. But due to lack of opposition, he had hardly fought anybody. The level of opposition had been very poor. I felt like, you know, he didn't win that world title of Kovalev. Buatsi, on the other hand, Buatsi's faced stiffer tests. But he's going against a guy, in my opinion, who's one of the best fighters in the world in his prime, who's very skilled, who's got a lot of experience, deep amateur background. Yeah, I think Buatsi's got it all to do. I don't give Buatsi much of a chance in this one. I don't. I think Bivol is special, and it's not hating on Buatsi. It's just that Bivol is so good. I don't know if I don't even know if I give Canelo much of a chance to win the rematch against, you know, Bivol, let alone Buatsi. You know, who's levels below Canelo. You know, and Bivol showed in the Canelo fight that this guy is a really, really great fighter. He's a really, really skilled fighter, and he's got a good chin. He's got heart. You know, he boxes. He's a very disciplined boxer. You know, he's got a very good jab. He's just a complete fighter. You know, I just don't see how Buatsi can win. And Buatsi, on the other hand, for me, loads up on shots. Is quite wild. Gets hit a lot. You know, these are very big weaknesses when you're coming up against an elite boxer like Bivol. These are big weaknesses. You know, these are huge weaknesses against someone as skilled as Bivol. Getting hit so much. You know, loading up on shots, being predictable. These are things that someone like Dmitry Bivol would take massive advantage of. Take huge, you know, those are big flaws when you're coming up against Bivol. You know, if Craig Richards at times was making him miss, you know, what's Bivol gonna do? Bivol's far better, far more skilled than Richards. You know, and like I said, for me, like with Bivol and Richards, for me, Bivol was always comfortable in that fight. It never looked like, look, I never thought Bivol, look, when I watched that fight, because of the fact that Richards wasn't that highly rated at that point, you know, he was seen as a domestic level guy, and he wasn't even seen as a top domestic level guy in Britain. And Bivol didn't have a great fight with him, and I was highly critical of Bivol off that fight. But when you look, the difference between the Bivol and Richards fight and Bivol and Buatsi fight, Richards and Buatsi fight, is that Bivol seemed comfortable and Richards never ever looked like he was going to win that fight. It always looked like Bivol was in second gear and he was always in control. It's just that I wasn't impressed with the performance, because I feel like you should be stopping somebody like that. After that, Richards has gone on to show that he's actually a pretty good fighter. That said, I don't think Bivol really took himself out of second gear, but he didn't really with Canelo. He just was pretty easy against Canelo. Now, the Buatsi-Richards fight was far more closer, and it felt like, to me, they were far more evenly matched. It didn't look like Buatsi was levels above. It looked like there wasn't much in it. You know, if they were to have a rematch, there'd probably be not much in it again, because for me, they're not that far apart. Do you know what I mean? Buatsi might be slightly better, but I think Bivol is much better than Richards. Whereas I don't think Buatsi is much better. I think they're kind of similar level at this point, where Buatsi's probably a little bit more polished, and a little bit he's more, in my opinion, a bigger puncher, and he's willing to take more risks than Richards, and that is the reason why he nicked the fight. But I think with Bivol was just so comfortable in there with Richards, whereas I don't think Buatsi was. Buatsi got caught a lot more than Bivol did. So I don't really give Buatsi much of a chance, you know, basing it off what we've seen. I know styles make fights. I'm looking at the eye test. The eye test tells me that Bivol is leagues ahead at this point, and that's why I think Virgil Hunter wanted more fights. He wanted Buatsi to get more experience, but sometimes, unfortunately, you can't take the fights that you want to take. You have to jump into the big fights because the opportunity might not be there down the road. So if a world title shot presents itself to Buatsi's been around for a long time. Look at someone like Anthony Yarde. He's already had a world title shot. Now he's going for his second world title shot. So Buatsi can't, although Eddie Hearn has done all he can to get Buatsi the experience and get Buatsi in a position where when he gets into when he goes for a world title shot, he wins it. I think he feels now that if he lets this opportunity go, he may not get one. You know, he may not get one. So for another couple years, or maybe 1 or 2 years, which can he afford to wait? You know, he's 29, or I think he's 30, 29, something like that. You know, so he can't afford to keep waiting. And this is the problem. This is a problem. So they might have to take the opportunity, but I don't think Buatsi's ready. And I don't think Yarde was ready, but Yarde was lucky that he got a weak Kovalev. So it made him look better. He still lost. And I think when Yarde faces Beterbiev, I think you'll see the difference in a guy in his prime against a guy who's past his prime. And I think Beterbiev will probably take Yarde out quick. And I think Bivol would outclass Buatsi. You know, and that's just how I see it. I don't think these two are anywhere near the level of winning a world title at light heavyweight unless the champion was weak. I don't even know if Yarde beats, you know, a Marcus Brown. Does he beat a Marcus Brown? Does Buatsi beat... I'm trying to think who is there in the light heavyweight division. There's some good guys there, you know. Callum Smith, you know, that's a good fight. Does he even beat those? Did Yarde and Buatsi even beat Callum Smith? Probably not. Probably not, you know. And that's what I think, that's who they should be fighting, in my opinion. They should be fighting each other in a round robin. Yarde, Smith, Buatsi, Callum Johnson, Craig Richards. I think all of these guys should be getting it on. And who knows? Maybe Callum Smith's next fight is Craig Richards. I don't think it will be straight away, but maybe after the one he has next, might be that. Or maybe he fights Craig Richards on the AJ undercard. Who knows? You know, that'd be a good fight. But yeah, leave your thoughts. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. It looks like Joshua Buatsi could be getting a world title shot against Dmitry Bivol next. Leave your thoughts. Let me know what you think, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.